There we are, just coming back under the railway bridge in Grove Road, back into the old manor. I have often walked down this street before. Yes, okay. There we are, a bit of urban graffiti. So here we are, this is what used to be my local. Aptly entitled the Queen Victoria, or the Victoria. It used to be a proper low-down drinking establishment, now probably a hipster gastro place, although it does still have the Charles Wells brewery there, so there might be some decent beer. So we're coming in now from the Mile end of the Lanfranc Estate. This is where I and my brothers and my mum and ultimately my dad grew up. Well, not my dad, you know, he was a Bethnal Green boy, but this is where we spent our formative parts. This is what we used to call the rough end of the estate, where some of the more troublesome people live, the more violent, aggressive, fascist, Millwall supporting, whatever. And now, coming up into view here is Wren House, which is the block that we used to live in. It's the ground floor flat, coming up straight in front of you. A positively palatial residence, I'm sure you will agree. So there we are, there's Wren House. So it's the the top two windows and the bottom ones. That's my old garden fence. I better not peek over it. And here is the old underground car park, which was never used, ever. Flooded, I think. People used to set cars on fire down here from time to time, and it's amazing. When we were kids, it was a sort of a game of chicken to walk around that top thing on the inside of the railings. And back in, I think, the summer of 1983, my brothers and I affixed some ET stickers to this sign up here, and where you can see the red, that's the residue of a few stickers that my brothers and I put there in the summer of 1983. So those ET stickers were very, very good indeed. So there we are. Oh blimey, they've got lights here. The council budget must have gone up, but it is both a time warp and a tip, and it's full of spider webs, so I shall just get out. There we are. Doesn't quite compare to Downton Abbey, or for that matter North Cheltenham and Prestbury and some such other places. So we're ascending the Holy Hill. So over there, we'll go over there in a minute in another video, you can just about make out the old vicarage of St Barnabas. And now we're going around the corner. And boy, do we have some changes here. So okay, that is Wren House. That's my old back garden. They've put a canopy up. And this used to be like a communal garden that was maintained by a load of people who lived upstairs who didn't have gardens. And in its time, it was very pretty. But those who tended it have obviously aged and moved on, because now it's just a walkway. I haven't been down here for about 5 years. There's Wren House in all her resplendent glory. There's the bins that my dad, and among other things, emptied for a living. Well, he was the caretaker really. My old man's a dustman. Here is the famous intercom and our old house, but I won't linger. Now going through here, we see much change, because of course you couldn't just walk across here before. It was the garden, full of all sorts of flowers and plants. But now it's a walkway, and we have what looks like a carbuncle built. Well, it is our old Olga primary school, but they've obviously built a new building, because before it was not as big as this. It was a little single-story affair, and behind is the old school, which I never was in, which is now known as School Belmuse, which is a kind of a luxury yuppie development. Anyway, going around here into Conyers Street, it really is quite an imposing edifice. Gosh. Change and decay in all around I see. O thou who changest not, abide with me. Wow. So this is my old school. I won't film it at the school because, you know, people might think it's a safeguarding issue, obviously, but I'm just filming the road. So there we are. And we'll just go back to the main Roman road through here, through this little square, as it were. Yes. Yes, very good. So this is a shot of your actual Roman road. It's changed beyond all recognition. It's full of hipsters, quinoa and latte cafes and artisanal this and ethical whatever. There is, however, a beacon of continuity in this ever-changing world. The Sang Li Chinese restaurants where my mum would get pork balls, fried pork balls and chips late at night, and I'd end up eating the batter and other meals in time to come. There's the iconic number 8 bus up there. Yes. Yeah. So here we are in St. Barnabas, Bethnal Green, which was the church where I grew up and was baptised. And it looks a bit different now. It has a very spacious ambience. The baptistry has been remodelled, and the image of Our Lady here. Okay, so that's an exterior shot of St. Barnabas. We've just been in, and we'll just go around the side, and then we'll go up to Vicky Park. Yeah. So that's a nice broody urban shot. There we are. It's really weird going in. Basically a childhood home, this place. Many plants and trees still here from my days, I'm sure. So there we are. There's another view. Cool. And on towards Victoria Park. So this is another grand building on Grove Road heading to Vicky Park, 1882. And it was from 1888 to 1911, the Children's Fold, one of the Dr. Barnardo's homes, yes, and a very imposing edifice too. Over here we have part of Mile End Park, and here we have the Jehovah's, as it were. It used to be a cinema before the Jehovah's, and Victoria Park Baptist Church clad in scaffolding and things. Now we're going into Vicky Park. Another childhood haunt, but again, it has changed. This area, like all, has just moved on, thus showing the temporary and impermanent nature of all things except God himself. Yes, O thou who changest not, abide with me. So it's a bit of a overcast day. Okay, so here I am with some friends. How are you? Nice to see you. There's a coot and a goose. Hello. How are you? Hello. You're pretty. You're pretty. We're hungry. I'm sorry, dudes, I haven't got any food. Nice view. Victoria Park boating lake. You can actually go boating now. When I was a kid, they'd vandalised and burnt all the boats, and the vicious cuts of the late 70s and early 80s meant that the boats were in abeyance, but they are back. Cool. You can see here in Victoria Park the two islands on the boating lake. Is that a real heron there? No, it might be a fake one. Yes, so ever since the Second World War, these islands were sort of derelict. My dad said when he was a kid, they used to have like little tea houses and indeed a pagoda, which has been rebuilt in more modern times. So that's wonderful. We might take a little wander over there. But as you can see, a lovely scene. It's good to connect with one's past. And so we have seen the exotic Sangli Chinese takeaway on Roman Road. We are now going up this distinctly oriental crossing across the river, across the lake rather. Just pitch over there to see some swans doing their thing, and proceeding in an orderly direction towards the pagoda. And here is the wonderful structure. I hope people use it for more edifying reasons than taking a leak and smoking dope or whatever, but it's looking in very reasonable condition. Okay, your actual pagoda in it. So yes, let's go inside. I don't know if you can go up the top, but it looks like there's a little walkway there. Then back out onto the lake. I don't know if you can see over there, I've got the camera rolling, there is an actual heron. I wish I had something with a zoom lens, because it's not every day you walk past a heron. Hello sir, how are you? It's jolly nice to see you, how are you? Yes, hello. I thought your mate was a statue because he was standing so still, but you are a very, very big chap. Oh, wow. Glad you're flying away from me, not to me. So this is where there used to be a lovely little bunny enclosure. When we were children, we used to come and feed rabbits here through the bars with, you know, leaves and vegetables. And yes, it's just a green open space. There are squirrels here still, obviously. Very plump, fat squirrels. They're quite sociable. I might try and trick this one into thinking I'm going to feed him. Come on, Mr. Squirrel Nutkin. How are you, Mr. Squirrel Nutkin? This, my dears, is the approach road entrance to the park, which we are of course exiting. And down here we have some dudes on a narrowboat. Yes. Yes, there we are. So here we are, we're crossing the road, and this graffiti thing in front of me is not the Bronx, but it's a hoarding around the old former London Chest Hospital, which, you know, was a hospital, and there were nurses' residents and all that sort of thing. My dad actually died of lung cancer in this hospital in 1985, and I think, like most things, it went the way of all flesh, and is probably going to become, in the fullness of time, oh, let me see, luxury housing developments. There's a bit of a theme going on in the East End, to the extent where your actual East Ender is in danger of becoming, well, an endangered species. They prefer the sunnier uplands of Essex. Meanwhile, what were formerly public institutions become the object of, shall we say, gentrification, quote unquote. I'm sure they are all very gentlemanly. Okay dudes, so this here is my old school, formerly the site of Rains Foundation, Church of England, upper school, and before that this was the site of a posh school called Parmeters, which moved out to somewhere nicer. Rains took over this building in 1985, but Rains itself dates to 1719, when a wealthy brewer called Henry Rain, funnily enough, set up a school for poor children, and with the motto, come in and learn your duty to God and man. So perhaps he got a bit of a conscience about the way the gin was pickling the working classes, and decided to help their educational opportunities. Now, of course, gin simply pickles the Anglo-Catholics, but there we are, that's another story. This is the great facade of the now sadly defunct Rains Foundation School, because you see they built this great new extension down the end there after my time, and then I think they closed the school a couple of years ago to great protest because of low school numbers. This is I have often trod these hallowed portals, and it is, in fact, once I did a little pastel drawing of this doorway, and it found its way into the headmaster, Mr. Lewis's study. It's sad to see the place looking abandoned and empty. There is the office buildings, and well, we all have memories of things that happened in these various classrooms. In some cases, the less said the better, but there we are. Okay, that's Rains. And just across the road from school is none other than the Approach Tavern. The Approach used to be an old school boozer. Often if you were in a classroom, you could see which teachers went for their lunchtime pint or two. It's funny, what was once an institution would now be a disciplinary offence. But such is the pace of change in modern Britain. I could have a lunchtime pint today, but I'm going home on the train, but actually daytime drinking was a very sort of 1990s thing really, and with age comes moderation. So there we are, one more last view of Rains. I just wish I had a better day for this filming. There we are. Okay, so here we are. As you can see, it's now starting to rain. We're just walking past the London Chest Hospital, like a scene from a nuclear holocaust movie, because everything's abandoned. Well, not nuclear holocaust, maybe zombie apocalypse, you know. Sorry to mix my genres. There's a big rain spot on the camera, I must clean it off. So coming now into St. James's Avenue, which is not as grand as it looks. Those tower blocks are the Cranbrook Estate, where I was, well, where I was when I was really little. And we are now getting our lens wet, of course. Let's give it a little wipe. There we go. This is the Church of St. James the Less, Bethnal Green, of a moderately evangelical tradition. Right, okay, it's really chucking it down now, so really quickly, St. James the Less, Bethnal Green, just round the corner from my old secondary school, and this is where Bishop Rachel was the vicar before she went on to become Archdeacon and then Bishop of Gloucester. And of course this is the vicarage. Obviously Bishop's Court in Gloucester is a step up in the world from here, but there we are, we all have to start somewhere. As you can see, it started to rain, but never fear, there's always a solution to hand for this sort of thing. So it's onwards and upwards we go, fearless of the elements. And this is the famous Cranbrook Estate, which is well, what Prince Charles would call a monstrous carbuncle. And this is where I lived when I was a very little baby. My dad had a flat in, I think, Alzette House, which is that one, and he lived there with his old mum. And so yeah, I have very distant childhood memories of living here, but not really proper memories to speak of, more recollections. Sorry about the rain on the lens. As they say, brown stuff happens. In England it's wet stuff. Yes, it has a distinctly Soviet era feel to it, doesn't it? Yeah, Alzette, I'm sure it was this one. Whatever, they all look the same, as somebody famous once said. Yes. So here we are, walking down the Roman Road Market. It's certainly changed beyond all recognition. There's barely a shop that one remembers. Such is the price of old age, decrepitude, and seeing the world move on. We all move on though in our own way, so you know, it's not surprising that this place has. I know I have. Yeah, Cool. Well, the light is beginning to fail now, and it's time really to end this little memory lane solitary walk to get back to the realities of the present day engagements of life and situations in which I find myself. There's Hook House there, and we'll just, for the sake of old time, go through the famous square. If Nell's looking out of her window, I might say hello, but if not, I think I'll just do this. Gosh. So here we are in the square where everybody knew everybody. I think I know these ladies. Peace and joy. My goodness, I've just been up in London. I had a meeting in Limehouse with bishops and all that sort of thing, and I've just been. Do I? Now that do I look old or do I look young or something?
Don't change.
I'm 47.
Hair, but you haven't changed.
Oh yeah. No, hair. We don't worry about hair nowadays. How's Nick? Is he?
He's fine.
I walked past Abbott's, but I don't know if he's working in.
He don't work in there.
Well,
he runs a unit over Chinkford, I think.
The boy's doing well, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, this is amazing. No.